Rock 102.1 KFMA. We're live on the podcast broadcast. We got film critic Herb Stratford joining us. Good morning, Herb.
Good morning.
I know that we have a lot of stuff to look forward to for the weekend movies. So the big release we'll get right into right now. I'm talking about Indiana Jones and the Temple of Depends. I mean, honestly, Harrison Ford's 80 years old.
Yeah.
Can he still slide underneath like stone doors and escape like booby traps and things like that?
Well, you know, which part are you talking about? Are you talking about the de-aged part where it wasn't really him? Or,
Oh.
you know what I mean? You got different parts to this here, you know? So, I got to tell you, I was not a fan of Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
I felt like it let down. But then after
think
a little
nobody
bit of time,
was.
yeah, but then you sort of like, okay, you know what? Let's just readjust your expectations, right?
Right.
And so going into this one, I feel like everybody's expectations are a little bit better, right? It's like, you know, the guy's 80, you know, they've de-aged him, you know that this is the last one. So just go, just enjoy yourself, right? You know, like just back off. I mean, the fanboys have got this hovering at like 66, right? You know, so anybody that saw it early, I will admit they did not. I could have gone Wednesday night to Phoenix to go see it. I did not. Like 4 hours in the car to go see a 2.5-hour movie. I don't know.
Right.
So I did not go, but I'm going this weekend. But I feel like I've adjusted my expectations. I love Phoebe. I think Phoebe is awesome. I loved her in Fleabag, so I'm down for anything she's involved with. And I just feel like, you know what? Sure, I'd like to see him kick some Nazi,
ass.
Yeah.
You can say ass.
Ass. All right.
Especially if it's following Nazi.
Right.
Yeah,
that's true.
there's a time to say it. I do want to, like, you talk about the de-aging. Now, is it as like Robert De Niro in the whatever that Scorsese movie, The Irishman type de-aging?
Better than that.
Well, that's good because that was horrendous, and it just kind of took you out of the movie
it
so much.
It did. And, it was so funny. The thing that a lot of people, I mean, for me, what took me out of The Irishman was they have the de-aged Scorsese, but I mean, De Niro, but he's walking like an 80-year-old.
Yes,
And
exactly.
you're like, hold on. Why is that 30-year-old walking like he's 80?
Yeah.
So are you speculating or saying that the de-aged parts of Harrison Ford's Indiana Jones was like done by a body double by a younger guy who could move around and look like a younger guy?
Well, I know some of it was.
Okay, good. Yeah, no. I mean, that's important.
Yeah,
because...
but I mean, like him on the horse in the trailer, that was him. He was on the horse, right? But that's the modern day, which of course is like 60s, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there was definitely the use of some stunt folks. But then they also de-aged him, and I think it's getting better, and that's good. I mean, at some point in time, we're gonna be like, oh my god, we can't believe any of this, right? All the deep fakes, we're gonna have all this. Crazy. It'll be great for porn, but that's about it.
That's true. But yeah, I mean, theoretically, they could be releasing Indiana Jones movies with Harrison Ford's likeness for decades to come.
They could
with deep fake. Now, you mentioned Crystal Skull, which Shia LaBeouf was in.
Yeah.
Right? Is he in this movie?
No. He is not.
So what? Indy doesn't have a son anymore. They just do they acknowledge it? Do you know anything about that?
I think they just ignore it. I do believe that Marion Ravenswood. I believe that she is in the movie. So I believe that Karen Allen makes an appearance. But Shia, no. I think they all realized that was a colossal blunder. I mean, not only was he just not an interesting character, but Shia's got a lot of baggage.
He does have a lot of baggage, but he is really good as an actor, and I am somewhat disappointed on that. Usually, like tormented or troubled people do have the talent kind of thing, I considered Shia to be one of those people. If you saw there's several movies that Shia has been in where you're like, oh, this guy is crazy enough to act.
Yeah, he does a good job. I mean, I feel like he delivers on the promise where like somebody like Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I'm like, really? Dude, I mean, I feel like you're not doing much here, but Shia, even in Transformers, I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Shia,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's bad news for him. He missed out on a lucrative payday for sure, but good news for Indiana Jones fans. And do you know if at least there's like, is this an end? Do they give you that satisfaction of ending it, putting a bow on it and be like, okay, here you go.
Yeah, no.
Proper send off.
No, they definitely ended, and there's a nice closure there. But I will say, despite what Kathy Kennedy and everybody's saying at Disney, just wait till Harrison's gone. 5-10 years, they're gonna reboot.
Yeah.
Ouch. You think he's gonna die within the next 5-10 years?
I don't know. He's 80. I don't know. I mean, think about it. 10 years if he's 90.
Well,
I mean,
trust me, this is why I got nervous when they announced that his casting in Incredible Hulk. And
I know, as Red Hulk.
Yeah. I'm like, ooh, why? Because you're gonna have the same issue you just had before. It's like you want to like change out actors every 5 years. What's going on? But let's hope that's not the case. And Harrison, has a lot left to give.
Absolutely. And I'm not wishing him into the grave. I'm just saying, at some point, I think about like Redford, right? Have you seen Robert Redford lately? It's like, you don't want to see Robert Redford in a movie, Thank you for everything. Right. I want to remember Robert Redford in Butch and Sundance, right? That's how I want to remember Redford. When Redford was in Winter Soldier or whatever it was, I'm kind of like,
he's starting to get to the point where so old, he's unrecognizably old.
It's uncomfortable, and I'm just like, and that sounds very ageist of me, but I'm just like, I mean,
ageist son of a bitch.
But I mean, like movie stars, right? Like you want to remember, like, I mean, have you seen Helen Hunt lately? I mean, I'm sorry to be shaming people.
Oh, no, well, we're not going down that road.
It's just some people, I'm just like, I want to remember you in that golden, beautiful sort of, just like I want to be remembered that way.
Right.
I mean,
that just in anything, there comes a point of like, go ahead and hang the coat up. It is okay. Stay home, retire. In fact, like Bruce Willis, because of his medical stuff, he's like, you know what?
I'm done. I'm out.
Yep. Yeah, well, he had his hand forced. I don't know if that's the right comparison. He just could not remember his name, let alone his lines. So that's bad.
Yeah. And it's not like you have to stay home. I'm just saying, let's be creative in our casting and let's bring new stars in. I don't think we always need to attach the same people. Like, just like people won't go unless the same 6 stars are in movies. No, that's not the case at all.
Yeah. And we have to keep this conversation moving on the podcast broadcast. But let me ask you this real quick. Is this the longest running franchise in history of film, Indiana Jones? Because the first one dropped in 1980. Around there?
Was it 80? I mean, it's 40 years. I think it was 83. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, I think Star Trek's probably
with the same lead.
Oh, with the
and
same
all
lead.
That.
Yeah. No, it could be. It could be, because I mean, James Bond technically is the longest franchise, right? But it's had
different actors,
7 different actors,
right?
So,
all right. Well, go down the rabbit hole on that and more. We're back with your TMI top 5 and so much. It's podcast broadcast live on Rock 102.1 KFMA and YouTube.com/beefvegan. Clear. Yeah. Because I mean, honestly, 40 years playing the same character over that stretch. Pretty interesting.
Well, and I mean, also the thing is, I think because there was such a big gap between Last Crusade and Crystal Skull, right? You know what I mean? Like, I think everybody thought after 3 they were done.
Right.
And it was just the drumbeat had to just be, just a completely oppressive. And as soon as Disney bought Lucasfilm, they're just like, well, we're doing another one of those. No question, we're not going to activate that IP. So, but I think you're probably right. I think it is, and pretty unique when you think about it, because in the first one, he would have been, what, 40?
Yeah, he was 40.
He
was 40 as his first role in Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, and now he's 80.
That's pretty interesting, right? Because I mean, to start something like that, like, are you going to see The Rock at age 80?
Probably.
Yeah. But The Rock is even better shape, so he'll probably even look even younger, or at least more put together than Harrison Ford, who obviously lived a good life and is still holding up well. He has those classic Hollywood looks, but
he does.
Yeah.
And he's got a slightly younger wife. I mean, slightly younger, she's 60. I mean,
right.
Still.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I did just look it up. Like, somebody said, Luke Skywalker, so played by Mark Hamill, that was first in 1977. And I mean, he's still in the most recent installment, but not necessarily as a lead.
Yeah.
Somebody made the argument for Rocky Balboa, Sylvester Stallone, because of Creed.
Yes. And he played the character and close to 40 years for sure. And who's to say he's done? He might even still be that old manager type in another, even though right now there's a falling out between that franchise, but he could always come back.
What about Schwarzenegger in Terminator?
Yeah.
But Terminator, but again, that last one came out. I don't know if they're going to do Schwarzenegger in another one.
No, he said he wouldn't. He said he's done.
Yeah, so he didn't break Harrison Ford's record as it stands.
And Leonard Nimoy, because he was in the first Star Trek pilot in 1964, and then his last appearance in Star Trek was Into Darkness in 2013, so that's 49 years.
Okay,
yeah.
I mean, honestly, what else did he play?
But again, not a lead though. Again, right now.
Yes.
But I mean, that's a really good point though, because he was that character in every one of those universes. So
yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis, Halloween, 1978 to what, last year?
Yeah.
So that's a definite.
Thank you, Wayne.
For female.
Yeah. So.
All right.
This is a great Reddit thread. Holy crap.
Yeah.
I'm like looking at all this. I'm like, oh, that's a movie I haven't seen in a while. Somebody did say, like, honorable mention, Desmond Llewellyn played Q from the 60s to 99 in James Bond. So he's actually been the most consistent one in James Bond.
Yeah, and it took me a while to get used to a new Q, I gotta say. Yeah.
Okay. You're just so used to it, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm still surprised that they didn't involve Shia at all. Not even like just a scene where he's calling his pops, checking in,
right,
or writing a letter.
They're like, that was some weird fan fiction. We're not gonna acknowledge it anymore.
Yeah, no, I think they were just like, we got such blowback on that one. It is not worth it. And I mean, did you watch the live read of Fast Times?
Yeah.
I mean, he cracked me up. He was sitting there the entire time
smoking joints,
blowing a blunt. I mean, just like, oh my God.
Because
crazy.
Well, the context is A, it's during COVID, everyone's on lockdown. B, this is a Zoom reading. Right. Jimmy Kimmel, I think, organized it. It was going for charity, and he was playing Spicoli, and he's such a method actor that if he's gonna play one of the greatest stoner characters at all times, he's gonna be stoned as fuck doing it the entire time. And so I watched it. I thought, even with the technical issues because of Wi-Fi and freezing out and everything, I thought it was enjoyable. And Sean Penn's look on his face, he was
that was the best.
Yeah, he's fully immersed, and he's like, this fucking guy, he's like me, but he's the young me. I bet you he has a massive hog too. You remember me telling you that story, Sean Penn? So here's
tell me.
Okay, so when Sean Penn inadvertently led to the capture of El Chapo, which it is because of Sean Penn. This happened. He was being, an investigative reporter of sorts. Sean Penn's, that's one of his many passions. And he wrote a piece about it in the Rolling Stone. And it's very interesting because, first off, he had to bed this hot Mexican actress who was friends with El Chapo, probably banging him as well. So they have like a torrid love affair, and she takes him to places in Mexico where no one belongs. And through him even getting close enough, the authorities were able to kind of pinpoint where El Chapo was. And honestly, I'm surprised Sean Penn doesn't have like a bounty on his head.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah. But he's describing his whole adventure in his piece, and at one point he talks about how they pull over to the side of the road, and he goes to urinate, and he whips out his dick and he starts peeing, and then he looks down and he starts appreciating his penis, and he like goes into detail about like his thought process of just like, his glorious hog here. And this is in the middle of how the world's most like wanted drug cartel boss is about to get caught, and he's just like, and I'm just looking at it. Like the way he described it was so comical, and like, what? And like, where did this? How did we went from Rolling Stone doing like an investigative piece, and it was Fabio on the cover of this month's issue.
So like, Penthouse, dear Penthouse, I never thought I'd be writing you.
Yeah, he just had to be like, by the way, I took a moment out to just appreciate how genetically blessed my dick was, and then I went back to banging the hot Mexican actress, and then we captured El Chapo, and I was on the red eye back in Hollywood before you knew it.
Right. What a weird Wednesday.
Yeah, insane. All right. So good morning, Rick. Good morning, Manny. Everybody here on the stream. And if Todd gets on the stream, I need to talk to you, Todd. Because Todd knows Danny. I got a weird thing happening. We're gonna get into science, and I'm trying to keep my head in the game. But you could tell I've been kind of out of it this morning, right?
A little bit. It's like I got a little bit verklempt.
Yeah, I got a kick to the gut. I had a former
verklempt.
Sorry,
good word.
I'm being threatened right now to basically be canceled, and being called like a monster, so to speak, and this is very hurtful and confusing, and yeah, I don't even know how to actually like take it. And so I'm kind of keeping an eye on social media for some kind of shit post that is going to attempt to villainize me and paint me in a way to try to get the mob to kind of rally up and say, yeah, fuck that guy. That's what I have to look forward to this 4th of July weekend. What are your plans?
On a lighter note,
yeah.
Gonna go check out Indiana Jones.
Oh,
and,
nice.
Gonna keep watching Succession, and stay inside because it's bloody hot out.
I'm going on a hike. I'm going off-roading.
Hopefully,
think
Well,
about-
the hike though, I'm gonna do Wasson Peak, which is over
Okay.
here by the station at like 4 a.m.
Yeah,
because it takes me about 3.5, 4 hours because I'll be by myself and I'll run most of it. And then I'll come in here and do my thing and then go home and then die.
Yeah. The
It's
thing,
only gonna be in the 80s by 9 a.m. It'll be fine.
He'll be fine. The thing about Harrison Ford is he never been accused of being mean at all during his career, right?
Call back.
Yeah, well, like, come on, we're not really talking about your hiking.
I mean, I think he's come off as like a little cold.
Yeah,
because he's very man of few words.
Yeah, well, he comes off on that thing where people go up to him and they're like, "Oh, who'd win a fight, Han Solo or Indiana Jones?" And he's just like, "Shut up!"
Right.
You know? I mean, it's like, so I think he's a little over some of the over fanboy, but that's about it.
Right.
I think other than that, I think he's been a pretty stand up guy. He always goes out, he supports his projects, right? He does the interviews, he does all that stuff. He doesn't pick fights in bars, right? You know what I mean? So I think he's a pretty stand up guy. But I mean, really, he's got a unique pressure, right? I mean, really, when you think about somebody like that, I mean, he's old school Hollywood, right? Because he was around and he had some iconic roles. And I mean, how do you get over that sort of obsession? He's got generations. It's not even one. It's like 3 generations of people that are obsessed with this guy. It's got to be hard.
Yeah. I like how you guys are changing the subject. There's actual tea I could spill here.
Let's go back to you.
Well, I'm just saying this is a little drama. We could talk about Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones, though. That's fine.
No, that's fine. I mean, I think you got to figure out you got to figure out what that narrative is, and the thing that's weird about it is you just don't know where it's coming from right now. You don't know what the attack is going to be. So.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can rest in knowing that it's nothing illegal or like predatory or anything like that, right? Like bad, like this is basically me being insensitive or being an asshole and being accused of being misogynistic, which guilty. And it's unfortunate and something as you grow, like you try to tell jokes and they're all fucking jokes, and I do respect women, and the women I work with, and like Weirdo can attest to that, Mari can attest to that. We definitely have more people that would probably say decent things than negative things, but the timing is way off. And so I got this yesterday. I posted a picture of Roddy Piper with Gimp and Danny Danger. This is a throwback picture that Todd sent me, and it was fantastic. And I never saw that picture, or I don't recall seeing it in years. So I posted it, and I was just like, all right, yeah. Here's the story behind this, and I shared my memory of Roddy coming in that day. It was a very fun time for all of us involved. And, he ended up staying after the show for like a half hour, hanging out with us, smoking cigarettes and everything. And so when I posted this, I thought all was fine. And then I got this message, or it was a comment on the picture on my Facebook page from Danny, who's in the picture. And she said, "Nice to know that my image can be used without asking or even tagging me. Is it because you talked to me and treated me like trash for the whole year that I was your co-host? Is it because you claimed it was just playful on-air banter while you continued to talk trash off air? Is it because when I actually quit, I was working for free and only asking for gas money? Or is it because when I finally quit working with you, I had all the women that you ever co-hosted with contact me online and tell me they quit working with you for the same reason? Maybe it's just me, or maybe you're a misogynistic asshole." Now, at the time, it was 2011, and there was really only one woman that worked with me before. That was Talia. And I could see Talia saying that. And I could see me being an asshole in that situation, because Talia quit because I played her YouTube clip on air of her American Idol audition. And the bit was, it was honest truth. I was trying to be a good friend, because I felt like anyone who's been on American Idol who was really bad didn't have anyone that cared about them to tell them they were really bad, to prevent them from being an asshole in public.
Right. I mean, I've watched American Idol so many times, like back in the day, and being like, do they not have people that care about them? Like, why are they letting them, and then of course my whole thing about like when America's Got Talent does it, or still when American Idol does it, where I'm like, you're literally making so much money off humiliating somebody. And these people aren't making money back, like, at all.
Let's not stray too far from this.
No.
So, but yeah, that was the point. And I said that she was not, unfortunately, not good enough to make it on to Hollywood, and not bad enough to be on TV, right? But with that, she got mad and she quit, and I was an asshole. I could get that, right? Danny, that was a different thing. She was only coming on once a week for only like a couple hours, and I did pay her gas money, and none of us were getting paid at the time. And I told her I couldn't afford it. I mean, I'm single dad. I'm working multiple jobs just to do this. No one's listening, and we're not getting paid, so I could not justify paying her. And she quit. I thought we were cool, man, because we're still Facebook friends and everything. But then, from that message, I messaged her, and basically the interaction is like she's like basically trying to have me do a blanket apology to all women who ever worked for me for my abuse. And Todd knows who I'm referring to here. Did you get caught up? You know what I'm talking about right now?
No, I popped into this a little bit late, but if it was the producer that came after me or your co-host after me, no, we've interacted once in our lives.
No, I'm talking about Danny Danger. She's coming after me.
That Danny.
She's coming after me saying that like I verbally abused her, slut shamed her, was egregiously misogynistic. And she wants me to do a public apology to all women that I ever worked for about my abusive ways. And I'm like,
wow.
What? That's a lot. You were there during the entire time,
Yeah, no, you weren't much different than you are now. Like you do.
That's
you did
no
have
excuse. That doesn't defend me at all, dude.
Hold on, Todd. Hold on.
But no, I don't think it was anything that she wasn't there for. She was the one that really wanted. Nobody asked her to get tased or go pull in a truck or show up in her underwear. She showed up drunk every day off of her rocker. I don't know what nobody abused her.
Yeah, and I'm apologizing because I'm like, if I made you feel any kind of way that was, that hurts you in any way, I want you to know it was 100% unintentional. That is not what I wanted to do at all. I respected you. I appreciated you. I learned a lot from you. I'm very open-minded when it comes to, different kinks and sexualities and shit. This. And I've been friends with her this whole time on social media. So now that she's coming after me like this, essentially trying to get me to villainize and cancel myself, I'm like, what the fuck, man? What? And why?
Yeah, I don't know why. It was, I don't know why we're not just still friends. I thought we left on good terms. I don't know what the problem is.
It's crazy. And then the timing of it's fucked too, because obviously I was an asshole with the button heads with powers and stuff. And I could be an asshole. I could 100% be an asshole, and I could own up to it. And unfortunately, sometimes in the heat of the moment and emotionally, when my feelings are hurt, then I hurt people, but not in a way that is criminal. Or abusive, that could be argued. I don't fucking know. But it's obviously, I'm just like, hey, I just want to end the show on a positive note. And then I get bombarded with this in the morning, and I'm like,
I think you could ignore Danny Danger. Whatever.
She said she's about to take out the trash, meaning she's going to do a public shit post. So I got to keep an eye out for whatever smear campaign I might be gifted today. Is essentially what's happening.
I know. Yeah. I'm sorry I sent you that photo.
It was Todd who sent me the photo. Todd. Yeah, thanks, Todd.
No, it just popped up because the other Gimp in there I talk to daily.
Right.
Still close friends with.
And I love Gimp and I love Danny. And that's what I was kind of shocked by. And, I wish Gimp was a part of this show. But,
sure that Gimp hasn't talked to Danny in the same amount of time. As soon as the compound fell apart, then that was it.
Yeah, we're talking about I'm basically being not extorted, but threatened with a cancellation in a way, public thing. So we'll talk more about that tea on the podcast broadcast stream. We got your TMI top 5. Plus, there's more things being released in theaters and on our streaming services. So we got Herb Stratford here. We are talking movies as well, beyond the drama. But the podcast broadcast is live, youtube.com/beefvegan. Yeah, that's why I couldn't wait to get you involved, because I'm like, how fucking crazy am I? What am I not seeing, and what is going on, man?
No,
and
she just was there for radio bits. She admitted to showing up drunk every show.
Yeah, just once a week bullshit. You know what I mean? So it like, and they still got paid more than anybody because I would feel bad that they're coming out from Tempe and try to give some cash. So yeah, I don't know, man.
Whatever.
I'll share with you the message I have because again, I'm being completely not now about that.
Don't
Just sit down
apologetic.
and
I wouldn't worry
comfortable.
about it. Like,
No,
don't sweat, Danny.
I'm being
Like, what is he gonna
completely
do?
apologetic and you know, because obviously it's like if that's how you felt, I'm sorry that's the way you feel. And then I don't know if she thinks I'm in some position of success and she wants to knock me off that pedestal. In fact, she even said at one point, because I said, I said, this is the last two things I said. I said, hey, there's a few things, but she said, you're more than welcome to call it naivety, but it's more like selective stupid. And I said, look, I am and was a fucking moron, right? I swear I was just trying to be funny. I've always sincerely respected you as original, and I learned a lot about you, and I still appreciate learned about a lot of different lifestyles from you, and I still appreciate. I understand that you never want to forgive me, but I want you to know that I am truly heartbroken and disgusted with myself that I ever made you feel that way for a second. Sincerely, right? And she said, then post that. Post that?
No.
I'm like, that would still be out of context. Yeah. And I don't even know how to approach that. I also still have to protect my job and career as a single father living and supporting my daughter. So I'm a human with my own shit going on. And she wrote back, hysterical. You're really living the dream, aren't you? You stepped on so many people and it's gotten you nowhere. I'm like, fuck, dude. What? And I still feel like I've helped more people than I don't even know what to say to that. It's crazy.
Whatever. Let her, she was around for once a week 12 years ago and then married somebody and moved to Germany.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, that's good. That's a good recap on that. And that's all the drama I'm talking. We got Valdez popping in a little bit. Todd, I'm going to put you backstage. We'll get you back in here in a second. Herb, let's talk about the second release that you're excited about. Are you excited about this?
Well, you know, I'm excited about it because it's really interesting and I like old Hollywood stuff, but it's sort of depressing.
Okay.
Okay.
Depressing.
So,
how so?
So it's called Rock Hudson, All That Heaven Allowed. It's on Max. You know, it used to be called HBO Max. Now it's just back to Max.
Mm-hmm.
And so Rock Hudson, you guys know that name, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Rock Hudson was sort of the face of the male movie star in Hollywood. You know, basically came out of World War II. Came to Hollywood, you know, sort of was in, you know, sort of B stuff in the 50s, 60s. He became the leading man, you know, with Doris Day. And I mean, just everybody. He was the ideal Hollywood guy. Okay. And he had to live this double life because he was gay. And he was basically, in a way, it's sort of sad because he was groomed, right? I mean, he was sort of grabbed by, you know, the Hollywood machine at the time. And this is the way the studios worked anyway. Before, you know, back then they would have you as an actor, you would be owned by a studio and they would tell you what movies to do and you didn't have any choice and they just paid you like a weekly salary. Anyway, so the thing that's interesting and sort of sad about this is that he had to live this double life because you couldn't be gay in Hollywood. You couldn't be gay anywhere.
Couldn't be openly gay. You could be super gay in Hollywood, but behind closed doors.
Well, think about like Liberace and you know what I mean? Like there's plenty of gay characters, but they were not able to sort of publicly be gay. So and the thing about Rock that's so interesting is he died of AIDS in the early 80s, and he was the highest profile person to ever sort of die of AIDS. And it was sort of a struggle for him to actually be, not only to say, I have AIDS and I died of AIDS, but then to say, no, he didn't say he died of.
Yeah, he can't say that. That's so difficult to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the fact that he had to, that almost wasn't enough. He had to come back and he had to say, no, I have AIDS and I'm gay, right? Mm-hmm. Which was because it was so hard for him because he lived this totally closeted life. And it's just sort of sad, right? But I mean, it's a really interesting look at Hollywood and at that machine. And it's got all this incredible footage. And I love when documentaries, they did this with the Michael J. Fox documentary too. The actor has so much of a film library that you can pick and choose pieces from their movies to sort of tell your story.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting, right? So you've got him sort of being awkward around a female co-star, and then it's sort of, you're like, oh well, maybe he was sort of awkward around that female co-star.
Like, that's not acting at all.
Yeah, so it's really interesting when they're able to do that. And so it's sort of a bittersweet thing, because it's a sad story, and then you're like, oh wow, this must have been really hard, to be that guy and to live that life. And they talk to all these other sort of older gay gentlemen about him, and there's some pretty colorful stuff in there.
So like, I knew him, he was the man.
Yeah, it's really
Right.
interesting.
Yeah.
Right, because he was that picture of like machismo
Oh yeah,
back in the day. Like
men
he was
wanted
the
to be
picture
him.
perfect man.
Yeah.
I love how like terrible people's gaydar was back in the day. They're just like, oh, he can tap dance so wonderfully. What a man, I did read something interesting about him, and I'm sure it's covered in the documentary as well, that while he was starring in Dallas,
Dynasty.
Dynasty,
Yeah.
right? Dynasty,
Mhm.
of course, was a huge show, and he knew that he had HIV and AIDS, but at the time, of course, it was still a new virus. He didn't know how it was transmitted, so he was terrified of doing a kissing scene with his co-star because he did not want to give his co-star HIV or AIDS.
Right.
And again, that's because it was just so new. He did not know that's not how it goes. So
And
the
nobody
kiss-
really knew that he was sick either. And
Oh.
so and that's the thing. And Linda Evans, there's a whole part of the movie where they talk about that. And it's interesting. Linda Evans is not on camera. It's just her voice. And she talks about the impact. And once people realized, they like shunned her, like wouldn't even go near, wouldn't even go in her trailer.
right?
So yeah, scary.
Yeah. Well, and where can you see that again?
That's on Max, streaming on Max, which used to be HBO Max.
I hate that because I'm like, Cinemax, like,
I
why
know.
would they do that? And
Yeah.
literally, like, they basically lost brand value, because HBO, you always think top tier.
Yes.
You're
Yeah.
doing good in life when you have HBO. You've made some questionable choices in life if you watch Cinemax, right? And that you're probably very lonely in the middle of the night if you're watching Skinemax.
Yeah, you're right.
So you're gonna brand something, you're gonna rebrand to make it sound like the less superior brand.
Right.
Well-
and how much did it cost to rebrand? And they're going to lose even more money.
And they're going to lose that 40-year history of HBO, that prestige television that brought us The Sopranos and everything else.
Mhm.
HBO is so prestigious, I would get it tattooed on me. Like I would say I'm HBO, baby. I was raised on HBO, and then when my parents went to sleep, I was also raised on Cinemax, but they only know about the HBO part.
Yeah, no, and there's some serious missteps going on by Zaslav and the Discovery people, and that's what you saw this week with TCM and the whole thing where Spielberg had to get down and they sit down and say, hey, hold on a minute, you're not getting rid of TCM. This is not happening. You have got to be appreciative of Hollywood history. It's not just about dollars and cents. This is sort of the last at bat of corporate America trying to ruin anything that's creative in Hollywood.
Yeah. Yep, they know how to do it wrong. That's for sure.
Yeah, they do.
All right, I gotta get Valdez set up here, so we're gonna do our morning moron. Yeah, because Valdez just sitting here quietly without a mic, without on camera. Do you have a laptop, Valdez? Okay, you could talk out loud. You don't have to. This guy's fucking pen and telling me, like, right? No, don't fuck with it right now. Let me get it going here. Yeah, I got this going on right now. Earlier this morning we did our morning moron. In case you missed it. It's still downloading, so you're gonna have to wait a second. But then it went a little something like this. Check it out. 1K, man. It's 6:15 and time for your morning moron. Let's do this. All right, this morning moron's coming out in LA. Actually, I'm going to double up for you because I'm not really convinced the first story is a morning moron story. It's just kind of a PSA. The PSA is, hey, if you see people rolling their balls off at a silent disco, let them be. Don't be a jerk about it. Don't toss a firework in the middle of their silent disco. Make a loud noise. Now, first off, it's going to sound extra loud when you have a bunch of people where you literally they're dancing. All you hear in silent discos, and I've been to silent discos and DJ'd silent discos, all you hear is this. Like this, just dancing, right?
Yeah, I've never been to one. That's the one where everyone wears headphones.
Everyone
right?
wears headphones, and then they hear the music, through their headphones and dance along. And everyone's listening to the same music, so you're dancing to the same beat, but you don't have massive speakers, and you're not blowing out eardrums, nothing like that.
Got
So there was a silent disco for whatever reason in LA. Just because people do XC every night of the week there, and there was a guy who's around 18 to 25. And apparently he wasn't a fan. So he pulled out a firework, lit it, and then threw it into the crowd. Now, the officials say that there was a significant explosion here, but luckily no life-threatening injuries, and nobody really understood that they were injured at the time because, again, they were rolling their balls off, so everything felt amazing. The suspect sped off on a motorized beach cruiser with an American flag near the back of it.
Okay.
So people are investigating it as a possible hate crime. This is where we're at in society, that if you have a flag, then they might, and you like something happens, they're gonna look at the person who has a flag and wonder if it's like hate related or hate motivated. You know, it's because of the hatred movement, right?
Yeah.
So it's a very sad state of affairs when police are like, "Yo, got an American flag? There's probably you probably didn't like bisexual people on Molly." Silent discos, again, I get to keep assuming they're on Molly. Well, why would you do a silent disco if you weren't on Molly? I mean, honestly.
People with auditory sensitivities or something.
No.
Yeah.
Well, again, auditory sensitivities is fine and stuff, but you're not going to enjoy a silent disco. I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying there is no purpose for it without other party favors. All right, let's move on to our real morning moron today. It's a guy who likes to party. Okay. The problem is he doesn't know when and where he should party. So I'll give you a bad example of where not to party. While you're driving, okay? So, we know this. There's no drinking and driving. Smoking weed and driving is a bad idea as well. Definitely huffing nitrous balloons while driving, terrible idea. And that's what Keaton Beck did. He's 25 years old. Police spotted him as he emptied out several nitrous oxide containers while he was driving, and they pulled him over. And then later on in the day, cops also showed up to a storage unit linked to him. And that's where they found 2 kilos of cocaine, 2,000 pounds of cash.
Holy crap.
Yeah, this drug paraphernalia, and 48,000 nitrous oxide containers canisters worth over $77,000.
Wow.
So this dude, major drug pusher, also major drug user, had tons of drugs, but he was using them while driving. Gets pulled over, gets busted with this. And then based off of him having an excess amount of something that is highly illegal and hard to come by in the UK, the police decided to do a little investigation and search his place of business, and boom, they caught him with everything else.
Wow.
Yeah, so now he's being charged with possession of Class B drugs, ketamine, possession of Class A drugs, cocaine, possession with intent to supply of Class B drugs, which is cannabis. I mean, the guy was seriously a Walgreens. So for all those reasons and more, Keaton Beck is today's morning one. Right now, I see you guys doing some Facebook stalking and whatnot. All I ask is keep it in the shadows. Don't come after her, and I'll just keep an eye on my notifications, and if I get tagged in anything, like, oh, here we go, that's my plans for the weekend. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of odd, and not nothing too much to be worried about. It's more just kind of like upsetting, but like, luckily, I was telling Herb off air, to get even to this position, when I was doing TMI up in Phoenix 7.5 years for free volunteering, if there was any kind of bigotry in me, or any kind of like abusive nature, it would have literally been called out. I would have been canceled years ago, because I was 100% fueled by the court of public opinion. Like, I didn't have the protection of corporate saying, well, he gets good ratings, so fuck you. You know what I mean? I was doing it for free. If anyone had a problem with me doing it and said it, then I would have been done. Right. And I take that and I actually put it on like my resume, when I'm talking to like other companies, if I'm trying to get a job, being like, look, I'm proud of my content and character. Yeah, I could be an asshole in this morning position. People get cranky and they can be assholes. It's a fact. But then there's a difference between you being a little cranky asshole and being abusive. And we've seen the difference. And I know that there was a comment on there from Joe saying, sounds like the F show. It's different. I could swear to you it's different, because I never viciously attacked her like that. And Todd was there. He's seen every interaction that I had. And he could probably attest to it, right? True. Yeah. So, it's upsetting because it's so goddamn confusing and out of nowhere. It's baffling to me. Like, what? Like, all I did was try to like give you a platform and try to like, hey, is this something you want to do? We could do this together. And and let's have some fun. And
yeah, I'd like to know what the problem was after 14 years. So sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And it's like, now's the time. The problem is she sees my posts and I have a perception of success. That's the problem, and like, if I actually become a success, what kind of fucking shitstorm do I have to face? You know what I mean? I'm going to need more than a hawk blocker. I'm going to need the hawk blocker raincoat accessory. So,
yeah, you know what it is? It's all about Chat GPT rap going big.
Yeah, I better hope it doesn't blow up. I better not. Better not spit them bars too tight. It's a good thing I keep it shitty, just to protect my job and awareness. Yeah, I know. So I don't know. I mean, I was even tempted. I can't do it now because she blocked me a messenger, but I was just gonna, just like I was gonna do with Powers, be like, let's air it out on the stream. You want to talk about it, then you want to cancel me, do it to my face, kind of thing. And I'll hear you out. But I don't think that's happening today. And I did not post this live stream on the Beef Vegan Facebook page at the same time because this is exclusively on the KFMA Facebook page and YouTube and Twitch and stuff. So,
well, there's just also like a lot to be said about people growing, and you're trying to put on, decently entertaining show. You were showing off local music. And you do comedy, right? And it doesn't always land.
No.
And so when you were first telling me about this morning, like, I am somebody that's against cancel culture in that sense. Like, don't bring up shit from 15 years ago when you've watched somebody grow and change, because that's what we do as humans.
Yeah.
We don't know until we make those missteps, And God knows, especially when you're trying to do comedy, it's not all going to be gold. And it's not all going to be, not insensitive.
Right.
Like, it's just going to happen. And like, and I can attest to knowing you for over a year now. Yeah, there's been some shit where I'm like, God damn it. But then you nailed the punchline.
Right.
Or I'll bring it up about Powers. I was like, dude, I don't know what to do with this. Like, I have nothing to add to it. I did feel a little bit uncomfortable. And you're like, yeah, my bad, dude. Like, you do own up to your shit. And that's why I have, and this is not just blowing smoke up your ass. Like, I do have respect for you. And there was a point where I was like, man, I don't know if this radio thing's for me. I'm not quite sure. But because of you and your encouragement of it, and also being real with me, giving me those constructive criticisms and feedback, that I could sit here and say, like, I have a good friend and he does do good work. Like, you do.
Yeah. That's my intention. And I can't even imagine, like, here's another thing that's like, that adds to the variable is that at the time, when I'm not getting paid, there's, I'm working multiple jobs. I'm doing a night casino gig for my, so like, I don't even know how many of those mornings where I'm literally on like 2 hours sleep.
Right.
And I'm fucking brain dead, but fueled on red line, and just trying to do a job to try to succeed at something and just throwing things out there. And yeah, that's what that's the thing with comedians. Valdez is a comedian, and comedians, they kind of have it easy in a way. And I didn't take that route. I could have done it, to take a joke that's good and say that joke over and over again. I take a fucking joke, I say the joke, and I throw it away and never say it again. And then I try to come up with another joke, and they do that fucking 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. Like, the success ratio, as long as it's there's any percentage, then you're doing okay.
Well, even the other morning, like, both you and I were a little punch drunk on Wednesday, and like, we're trying to do this speed break and it's just not hitting. Yeah. And so we let it record and just laughing because like we could not get it to go. And it ended up being that kind of that behind the scenes moment of like, no, they don't always land. And also, like, I don't know, as a woman kind of coming into this industry, or just, I don't know, existing, at some point, if something's making you uncomfortable at the time,
say it.
Speak up.
Right.
You have to speak up and you have to stand up for yourself. But if, I don't know, in hindsight, 10 years later, I'm like, you know what? That did make me feel uncomfortable. Well, that's on me. That's on me to deal with.
It's weird too. At the time, now that you say that, we had Talia with us at the time, and she was the queen of like, if she thought something sexist or misogynistic was going on at the time, she would have been like on top of that.
Well, it's funny that you say that because Danny does reference Talia, not by name, but basically she said when she quit, all of my former female co-hosts, which is just Talia, and then maybe possibly Summer, but I dated Summer, so that's different. Reached out to her and said the same exact thing. And now I can see Talia saying that because of the whole American Idol bit. You remember that bit? Oh man, that was good. But anyways, she did not like it, and I get it, But again, I was still trying to be helpful on that. But speaking of jokes, like not all jokes land, but some jokes land. And I did play. I forgot to play this as a speed break yesterday, but I'll play it for Valdez and Herb. This was a speed break yesterday. Now again, when your job and your goal when you do this show is to come up with constant comedy 20 hours a week, which is a very difficult task. And you're going to take a lot of swings and you're going to get a lot of misses, right? Babe Ruth had a lot of home runs, but he had a terrible batting average, right? He struck out more than he hit home runs. I'm not saying I'm the Babe Ruth of morning radio comedy, but I strike out a lot. But yesterday I did the speed break, and I'm actually proud of this joke. And I played this for Todd yesterday around the same time. I'm going to do it again on there. And you just let me know what you think of this joke, okay? I had Rico do the setup.
Yo, Beef.
What's up?
Did you see that Bud Light is offering a $15 rebate for the 4th of July?
$15?
Yeah.
You'd be gay not to take that deal. Yeah, that's not bad, huh? It's inclusive. It's calling out bigotry in a way, and
making fun of corporate America. Yeah,
that's right. So that's it's not all bad. So try to cancel that. Let me give you some science here. We got a full house here on the podcast broadcast. You can join us youtube.com/beefvegan. There's some interesting things happening in the world of science. First and foremost, this is technically scientific news, but Richard Branson's company, Virgin Galactic, had its first commercial flight to space yesterday. Did you see this?
No.
Okay. So, if you ever wanted to have a few minutes weightlessness, and I'm looking at you, Valdez.
Hello.
Oh my God, he's shaming now.
Cancel him! Cancel him!
Get ready. In 20 years, I'm going to call you out on that.
Well, yeah. So
mark your calendar.
What you need to do though, is start saving your money now. Tickets for that flight is about $450,000 a pop. About 800 people are on the wait list, and it's not a rocket, it's a space plane. They figured out how to get the plane up into the area that's not necessarily space. It's still our atmosphere, but it's in that little Goldilocks zone where there's zero gravity. And for $450,000, you can experience that, throw up on yourself, and then dodge the throw up as much as you can. There was a live stream too, but it was boring, so I'm not going to share that with you. In other space news, NASA locked down 4 volunteers in a simulated Mars habitat in Houston on Sunday. And unless they tap out, they'll be there for over a year. But I've seen this movie. It's called Biodome, and it sucked.
It was filmed just down Oracle.
Yeah. They need to, these guys need to stop getting amateurs. And there's something to say about, like, recently there's been kind of like this trend of saying, hey, let's get unqualified people to try to do this. And I'm like, I don't know if that's going to end well.
Are you thinking about the Titan submersible?
No, that was unqualified people kind of engineered it in a way, but there was another scenario where they just had volunteers, just kind of amateurs just kind of show up and be a part of it. I think NASA was talking about it, and we talked about Tucson Police Department trying to hire detectives that have no job experience. Not former police.
They still need 2 years experience. They just didn't have to be a cop.
Yeah. 2 years experience being like a receptionist. I mean, it's just we're still gonna have detectives on the streets that never detected things. They literally want people who are true crime podcast fans.
2 seasons of Naked of Afraid. Does that count?
I'll tell you what. If you're watching,
Jim Carrey was Ace Ventura for 2 movies. He's qualified, right?
That's gotta work.
That's a pet detective.
But still, detective's in the title.
That's true. I know. But again, it's, if you're trying to be a pet dick, you have to.
Any opportunity.
I lost my train of thought.
Any opportunity.
I mean, I've had many of nights where I've rabbit holed all the true crime stuff and in weird ways people die. Sign me up.
Let me ask you this question. This is a serious question to the panel. Okay. If watching and listening to true crime podcasts can make you a detective, then what job would you be qualified for by listening to this podcast?
Camp counselor.
Exactly.
Relationship therapist.
HR consultant.
HR consultant for sure. Yes. That's
Valdez
probably
wins.
winning answer. Winning answer right there. All right. So
Are they making detective like a non-classified position, like a civilian position?
yeah, you could apply for that. You don't have to have police experience to be a detective.
That's super scary.
Yeah, it made national news. Let's see.
So what's next? A surgeon? Like you got to play operation as a kid and you can now be a surgeon? Like,
yeah.
Are we just gonna downgrade everything?
Well, I mean,
no, that's not. They won't count that because that's a board game and physical experience, interacting with something repeatedly. Where they'll count like if you play doctor back behind the bleachers somewhere at any point.
Then you can be a gynecologist. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. 2 years experience right off the bat.
Yeah.
Sophomore and junior year. Thank you.
Yeah.
we are at the point where you don't have to have an education to be a teacher. Am I wrong? Like, isn't there places that are hiring teachers that don't need teaching experience or degrees?
Yeah,
Those are like privatized.
Well, it used to be charter schools and private schools weren't held to the same standard. You just had to be an expert in that field. Like you could become a math teacher if that was your profession. But now, it's real shady how that's all been deregulated because they're just desperate for teachers. Yeah. Because like I'm comfortable saying it now. My husband was a teacher from 15 years. That was his calling. I mean, he went to Macedonia to teach English. He was elementary school teacher. He was that teacher that kids just gravitated to. He finally called it done this year. He could not take it anymore.
Yeah.
So, and it's what I think quickened it the last couple of years is because, again, hiring unqualified teachers. I mean, he was at a campus one time and kids got hurt because they just hired somebody that could teach the material but could not do classroom management. Nobody thinks about that. Like, oh, this will be fine. My kids will learn math from an engineer. An engineer that hasn't been around children is not good.
Yeah. And that's why we keep having stories pop up of teachers starting fight clubs amongst their students and stuff. That's a thing. And is it also true that you don't need any experience to be considered a film critic?
Pretty much. Yeah. No, you just have to have watched enough stuff so you can have witty banter with radio co-hosts.
Your banter is the wittiest. I do enjoy it.
Herb is the best.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to watch it grow over this last year. I must say, it's because I think that you've become a lot more relaxed.
Well, you have to read the room, and this is a different room.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you know what I mean?
Well, a lot of people didn't realize at first because Herb has such a great persona and public image and stuff that he's really a derelict like us, So when he joins the crew, and it took a while to be like, actually, yeah, I get it.
When I was I'd been on the show for a while before I was in on a Friday with you here, and then you're talking about your trip to Egypt, and I'm like, look at this classy ass man. I'm just here trashy and weird. And then this last couple months, I'm like, no, Herb's a good guy.
I'm trying to class the joint up. So yeah. That's why
please stop.
Yeah.
Please stop immediately.
I really didn't get to know Herb until this show. Because other shows are like, all right, tell us about movies and get out.
That's true.
He does the walk of shame. He has his high heels and he comes over here. And then he's like, oh, hey, he has like a home here. So
yes, I know. Hey, this is interesting here. And I'm going to show you a picture of this because you know who Amanda Siegfried is, right? You're a fan of Amanda Siegfried? She's fantastic. She was in a couple of, this was the last television role that she was in that she
played Elizabeth Holmes, right?
Yeah, she did. And then, but also she was Linda Lovelace in the story about Deep Throat. If you haven't seen that,
oh my God, I remember that.
Very good in that. She's a very fearless actor. She will take on really interesting things. So yeah.
I mean, ironically enough, and this has nothing to do with it, but I did remember and recall, and don't judge me for this and don't call me misogynistic or whatnot, but there were photos leaked of her giving oral sex to Justin Long. And I did see them. So
so did I.
With the dodgeball guy?
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I have a story.
Oh, guys packing heat, dude.
I hung out with Justin Long back in my early 20s.
Yeah, there's a reason why he's not called Justin Short.
No, I didn't hang out with him in that kind of way, but yes, I do have a Justin Long story.
Okay, tell me.
Back in my stripper days.
Okay.
Yeah, he was out here with Sharmar the superstar. He had a random cameos and stuff, but they were out here writing a movie, hanging out at Curve's Cabaret down on Oracle Road. And they were like, so what can we do? Like, what is there to do in this? I think it was 21, 22.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was at the time that he was with, what was her name? Kirsten Stewart? Not Kristen Stewart, the other one, Dunst. Kirsten Dunst.
Oh, Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah.
You know, it's great too with Justin Long. 'Cause Justin Long is like attractive, but not, he's kind of a weird kind of thing. But, the people he dates, same kind of thing. Amanda Siegfried at a time, she was cute, but obtainable. Like she was like realistically hot, not Hollywood hot. Right.
Right. But meeting Justin Long, the reason I enjoyed his performance in Tusk, or not Tusk, Zach and Mary Make a Porno.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was finally out of that like stereotype character that he'd been playing, because it's just him. That's just him.
Yeah.
Like just kind of that sarcastic, kind of losery, kind of, yeah. And hanging out with him, like we went out to eat, whatever, me and a couple of the other girls and his friends. Yeah.
He recruited like the whole crew of strippers to go eat with him. Did he hook up with any of your friends? Be real.
No.
Okay.
No. He was so emo about what was happening with Kirsten Dunst and like how that relationship, because like at the time, like I think the tabloids are saying it was like back and forth and rocky, and I'm like, all right. And then he like showed off the fact that like Mike Judge did his like voicemail, and I was like, I'm gonna go home. It ended up turning out to be really lame, but I was like, how weird is that? Like it was a whole thing.
Wow.
But yeah, no, I totally looked at those photos.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but anybody who says they don't look at porn is lying. They have seen porn. Don't judge other people that do it.
In fact, actually, I have a story. This is kind of.
In fact, I got the photos right here.
No, I don't want to get booted on the YouTube.
I think you use me as a gauge of how gross or misogynistic you are.
Yes. I mean, if I can offend you, I know that I fucked up.
The high bar.
Yeah, I know. Where did I see this? Here it is. Pornhub is being accused of storing illegal data on its users, which is not good because that's the last data that users want shared. So
I'm screwed.
Yeah. A group in Italy is filing a complaint against Pornhub for the way that they store and use data and sexual preferences they collect on their users. So essentially, Pornhub knows all of your sexual preferences, but that makes sense if you use it because the algorithm is pretty much like, hey, buddy, you want to see this? I know you like it.
I mean, that's part of the algorithm game.
Yeah.
But if that could ruin people's lives.
Yeah, it could, I guess, if they're trying to keep it secret.
Get hacked because everything gets hacked.
Everything hacked.
Everything. If like Anonymous goes, I want that data, it's gone.
Yeah. In fact, actually, there was an app that was an app that people use to track their spouse. It's called like Track My Data. We talked about this yesterday, and this is like a spy app that if you're an Android user, people can use. Now, it was marketed for parents to be able to monitor their kids, but if you downloaded this app, you could download it on somebody's phone and they wouldn't see it on the home screen. They would have to look through their apps to find it, to turn it off. And there it collected everything, all the text messages you sent, your emails, your phone calls. It stored everything, and people were able to pay for this app and use it. And I was like, this is terrible information. I'm sorry I'm even saying this on the air, but it got hacked and all that information got stolen, probably because people were against the concept, which is good. And then I was at the same time like, well, now I know about this app and I'm single. So but back to the Pornhub thing. So essentially they were stealing. So hackers can, take all the data that is being collected. And of course, they don't know what they're going to do with this data just yet, or if they were just doing it as an attack on the premise of that app and company. That's only available for Apple. But the Pornhub collecting your data is a different situation. And the lawsuit says the company unilaterally assigns sexual preferences to each individual without their knowledge. Okay. Yeah. And in other words, you watch the same thing a few times and the site starts showing you more of the same, just like Facebook, but with nudity instead of stupid opinions. And they say, side note, more than 2 billion people visit Pornhub and spend an average of almost 8 minutes per visit. All right. 8 minutes per visit. I wish I could finish that fast. I would get so much more done.
I was going to say like 8 minutes. I'm very selective.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the problem when you do porn is because now you're so spoiled with porn that you're very oddly specific, and you will take an hour going down the rabbit hole. Like, nope. I need the areolas to be exactly 3/4 inch.
I know. I peruse like one of those Englishmen have like a pipe. I'm like, no.
But I'm personally proud of my porn history, and I've said that many times. I still stand by it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, can't cancel me based off of what I watch on Pornhub. I'll tell you that much right now. You know,
You are the most inclusive when it comes to that.
Hey, not only am I inclusive, I'm a realist. It is very, you know, like you're when you look at my porn history, you're like, yeah, okay, this guy looks like a romantic that, you know, is looking to score himself a solid 7.
Yes, because a guy with a backwards hat, that's just screams romantic.
Well, okay, you know, and I've definitely looked up backwards hat porn because I want to be the guy in the porn. So, I mean, there are weird things like that where people are like, why? But if I just explain, no, I'm just looking for a doppelbanger because I really want to put myself in that scenario. You know, look up like a chubby guy, average penis with a woman who's a 6 on a good day, and then search
Backward hat.
Yeah, backwards hat. Forward hat, I'll take me out of the equation. I don't wear a forward hat.
Immersion broken.
He was there, but he got canceled also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And much grosser food news, though. I got researchers found that the earliest evidence of cannibalism. They found bones of human ancestors, which cut marks from 1.5 million years ago. Yeah, earlier this morning, we did a speed break about mushrooms. Here's a not so fun fact for vegans. Mushrooms share more DNA with humans than they do vegetables. Yeah, and that's all different types of fungus, which only makes me believe that The Last of Us is kind of like based in reality in that theory. Like, oh, you know, did you know about that, Herb?
I did not. I'm just sort of processing that, and it's terrifying.
Is that terrifying? So would that?
Yeah, I mean, if you know, and I don't know how far down that rabbit hole you went, but when The Last of Us came out, everybody was talking about how, you know, there's some stuff that would stop that from happening, right? Like spores can't. I think it's they can't live in your body because our bodies are too hot, right?
Yes.
But they said if our body was different, like by 2 degrees or something, it could actually happen.
Yes.
So that's why I'm putting it together in my head. I'm like, okay, mushrooms. I'm like DNA. I'm like, oh, that's terrifying.
Yeah. So I was sharing with Herb on the podcast broadcast stream the little fun stat that we came across this morning about mushrooms sharing more DNA with humans than it does vegetables, and that's all fungus too. So yeah, that is weird. And you know, with the planet heating up, and if mushrooms evolve, which they do, and mushrooms are some of the most fascinating living organisms on this planet. You know, obviously we get a lot of medicine from mushrooms, we eat them, but there's so many different things. There's so much unknown about the powers and properties of this just living organism that just grows out of nowhere. It's not hard to fathom the concept of Last of Us becoming a reality, right? And you know, and they are concerned about just fungus as just spreading in general and people getting infected with various funguses and dying from that. So happy Friday.
No, let me take a darker for you. The permafrost is melting, right?
Yeah.
And they are finding ancient viruses that the planet hasn't seen in a few thousand years. So yay. We're all gonna die.
Oh, stop. You got something positive for us, don't you, Valdez?
I'm like, stop trying to live on Mars. We already screwed up this planet. Let's fix this one before we start looking at another one.
Oh, you got on a soapbox. Okay, that wasn't what I was looking for. Todd, do you have any positivity on this Friday?
Oh, well, let's just, you know, we're approaching the 4th of July, so let's launch a bunch of things into the air and have particles scatter everywhere. Spread to everybody.
Herb Stratford,
joy. Joy. Spread the joy.
You're my last hope, dude. You got anything positive? No.
No, I watched this video yesterday about what would happen in a nuclear war, and I was in a funk all day long because they were talking about, okay, the first missiles go here, and then they do that, and then, but you really don't want to live through the nuclear winter. I'm like, I'm out.
Oh, I'm one of those people. Take me out in the first blast.
Absolutely.
I do not want to live in apocalypse land. Hell no. My therapist won't be there. It won't turn out well.
All right, I guess we don't have any positive for this weekend. We will hit the reset and keep the conversation moving on the podcast broadcast. Back with a very depressing beef tip after this. That worked out perfectly inadvertently.
Right?
All right, yeah. Why are you watching documentaries of nuclear apocalypses, and why aren't we talking about it?
It popped up, and I'm like, and it was like on, you know, CNN or something, and I'm like, oh, I'll watch that. And it's this little animated graphic, and it talks about how, you know, like the bomb at Hiroshima, everything now is like 50 times bigger. And like the fire that, like, if we bomb Moscow, the fire will kick 50 times more stuff into the atmosphere. We're going to have this endless nuclear winter. But I'm with you, Weirdo. I'm like, drive towards the missile at this point. You do not want to starve to death. You do not want to have your skin melting. There's just no point.
Yeah.
Nothing glamorous about post-apocalyptic world. Nothing.
Yeah, I know. Even though some movies have made it look cool.
Yeah, they made it look super cool. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, Mad Max and Road
Fallout
Warrior.
4.
Yeah, well,
Silo just ended. Speaking since we got, did you see Silo just ended on Apple Plus? That was really good. I actually like that show.
And they renewed for season 2. So
good because they left that on a very obvious hanger.
They did, but I dug it. I'm with you, Todd. I thought that show was awesome. I thought it was a little bit of a slow burn to start, but I was totally invested by the time it was over.
It's it's if you're a big fan of Fallout, there's a huge influence from the Fallout series in this series. So I was hooked from the start.
Yeah, Rebecca Ferguson is awesome. The whole cast is great.
What's it called?
It's called Silo.
Silo.
Yeah, and it's about
Apple.
It's on
like
Apple
the
TV.
defunct electronic store from the 80s.
No, so basically it's like this underground silo with thousands of people living in it, and there's sort of a hierarchy, and you're sort of understanding this, and you don't know what's going on up on the surface. They have a camera up there, and so they can see that it looks all devastated and stuff, and if you do something bad, you get banished, and they send you up top to clean the camera so you can still see.
Oh, wow.
So it's sort of a detective story going on. You're trying to figure out, and then there's people in the silo that are like, you know what? We're not entirely sure that what they're telling us is the real deal, right? We're not sure. So it's very well done.
Yeah, you were excited about Silo when it first got released.
Yeah.
So you've been singing its praises for a minute now. I do want to give you an update. This was a story that we did yesterday that Todd gave us the rundown in, the Microsoft buying Activision, right? And did you see that Sony, of course, as they're filing these documents in court, to kind of, argue against the acquisition of Microsoft buying Activision because they don't want a monopoly and affect Sony's bottom line in their business. They redacted a bunch of personal or business information in these documents, but they did it with Sharpie so everyone could see exactly what that information was.
Somebody's super fired.
I'm going to share you some of this information, these stats and facts.
This is crazy. I had no idea. Like, I don't know why I didn't know, but like that there's so much money involved.
So much. So this is what it showed. First off, Horizon Forbidden West cost $212 million to make over 5 years. Wow. That's how much it costs. And that's more than most movies.
Yeah.
Like all movies, right? Even Marvel movies, right?
A lot.
The Last of Us Part 2, speaking of The Last of Us, cost $220 million to make.
Which I did look it up. How many episodes did that show have? 5, 6?
Probably 8.
8.
Yeah.
And that was $15 million an episode it costs to make that show.
Which is actually pretty good because Game of Thrones is like 30 million an episode. So
so what 15 times 8 is so still like half of
about
what the game costs.
Yeah. Right. 100 million,
yeah, which is a big budget, but not for that. And there's more. In fact, actually, to argue that making Call of Duty an Xbox exclusive game would be bad for Sony. The documents point out that over 1 million people spent 100% of their time on PlayStation playing solely Call of Duty. So if Xbox was to make Call of Duty exclusive to Xbox, theoretically speaking, Sony could lose over 1 million customers. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Right, Todd?
That's a big deal. I don't think that it makes sense if Microsoft were to acquire them. I don't think that makes business sense for them to cut off Sony like that. It makes no sense.
But this is why Sony is taking them to court and filed this complaint for the FTC to investigate, because obviously they were scared. They're like, whoa, don't you take away our Call of Duty money?
Right.
Well, too bad. The games that they listed were 2 exclusives that they're like, this was expensive for us to make, so we made them exclusive. Okay. Yeah. So what?
Okay. All right. Well, this is what it adds to Sony's bottom line. Counting game sales, accessories, subscriptions, everything else for the movies mentioned, it comes to over $10 billion a year. And the other news that wasn't supposed to be leaked, there's apparently a new Call of Duty game due to be released in late 2023. And around half of PlayStation 5 owners are also game on Nintendo Switch. That's just bonus. Little fun nerd stat. Did you know about the Call of Duty being released at the end of the year?
No, I did not. But I don't play Call of Duty, so.
Yeah. Well, over 1 million people do exclusively on PlayStation. So that was interesting. And I guess the moral of the story is don't use a Sharpie to redact information. I didn't know that. I thought Sharpies would work.
Yeah. That's a rookie error. For sure.
Yeah, apparently so.
God, you could have just used whiteout.
Hmm?
Whiteout is real successful.
If you can find
Efficient.
whiteout, right? I mean,
Do they not make it anymore?
I don't know. I feel like I have like a bottle. It's all dried out, right?
White nail polish will
That's
even
true.
do you
That's
in
true.
a pinch.
By the way, Beef, you said duty several times.
Yeah, I did. He's our people. That's why he's on.
Thank you so much. I didn't
Yes.
want to be that guy and just like I did on the inside.
Leave it to the most prestigious man in the room to point that out. I appreciate that. We're getting into our beef tip here. We got about 15 seconds. I hope you guys have a good 4th of July weekend and have a good time as well. And I appreciate each and every one of you watching on the stream, whether live or afterwards. Everyone joining us on the stream. Herb. I'm gonna get all emotional, man. I want to say this before I get canceled. I just want to throw it out there.
Right, I was about to say, this might be it.
Yeah, it's been a good run, and I do appreciate you guys for joining me along this ride. All right, we're live on Rock 1 2.1 KFMA. I do want to get into a beef tip before we wrap up the show. And Powers is actually filling in for Robin Nash, so you have that to look forward to. New research shows that morning people tend to live longer than night owls, right? So, well, I mean, let me get to my beef tip there. But I mean, if you're somebody who wants to be concerned about the longevity of your life, you want to wake up early. Early bird gets the worm and continues to live off worms for many years to come. Of course, the study did show that the reason why morning people have live longer is because they're not having as much fun as night people. The night people are out there, they're drinking, they're hooking up randomly, they're, smelling what cocaine smells like. They're doing things night people do. Smoking and alcohol mainly, and just basically having the best time, the time of their life on a regular basis. I got invited out to I get invited all the time on weeknights by women way out of my league. They're like, hey, you know what? I normally wouldn't do this, but it's Tuesday night. You want to have drinks with me and have like crazy, wild sex of your fantasies that you would never have in reality ever. And I'm like, I can't. I got to wake up at 4:30. Now I'll live longer. And those added years will be years of regret. But, at least I'll be able to marinate on that regret.
I mean, this is just something I've realized. I'm not truly a morning person, and I'm not truly a night owl. I am just a permanently exhausted chicken.
Yeah.
I just live between both.
That's true. And you sleep between two people as well. So
I do.
I do. So, but
I love my hawks.
An exhausted raven between two hawks.
Oh, that's right. I almost got canceled for having two hawks at home.
I know.
Look at that beef. It's rubbing off on me. God
I know.
damn it.
Oh, trust me. You hang out with me long enough, you will be canceled.
I can't wait.
The moral of the story in the beef tip is pick your poison. You want to live long and miserable, or you want to live fast, die young, and have a hell of a time. Either way, whatever you choose is the right choice for you. And maybe I'll party when I'm 80, or maybe I'll party in a couple weeks after I get fired. Who knows? Either way, at least I'll have plenty of time to think about all those missed opportunities. And now it's ending on a depressing note again. Damn it.
We really tried.
Yeah. I mean, Herb, you've been waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning every day for years, right? I mean, how did you make it this far?
No, the thing is, so it's people say, what gets you up in the morning? My bladder.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's what it is.
Yeah, something to look forward
Since
to.
4th of July is coming, I encourage everybody who owns dogs, get them microchipped, because with the fireworks,
Let's
they
do
run
that.
away, and it
Or
makes
keep
it
your dogs
easier to
in the
like
house,
reunite
man.
you.
Keep
Yeah.
dogs in the house, it's not cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, and if you live in Midtown, don't shoot your guns in the air because those bullets come down. I
They
know that you had a
do.
story as well.
Yep. Last year we had a bullet ting right next to my boyfriend, and it was still hot.
This ain't a rack.
Yeah.
Settle down.
Yeah, for real.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Well, all those positive notes. I hope you guys.
Man, we kept trying to turn it around.
I know. I hope you guys have a happy extended 4th of July weekend. I hope you spend it with your friends and family, barbecue, get a tan, and enjoy those fireworks celebrations. We're going to be back live Wednesday morning. So we're going to take some time off, but we hope you join us then. Until then, Powers is in for Robin Nash up next. Enjoy your weekend. Drive safe, ride safe. And as always, rock local. Later.
Today's Beef Vegan Presents has been brought to you by Vacation Brain. Vacation Brain. Forget everything you just said immediately because you're already 1 foot out the door.
I will not
Damn right.
Happy 4th, everybody.